We are biologically wired to brace ourselves for the catastrophic. We look out for the massive failures, the bankruptcy, the sudden layoff, the public meltdown, the total collapse of a relationship. We think that is what ruins a life. But human behavior tells a completely different story. Progress rarely dies in a massive explosion. It dies of 1,000 paper cuts. It dies quietly, in the dark, while we are busy looking the other way. Welcome to the Due to Expire podcast today. We will be unmasking the quiet killers of human progress. I'm your host, Corey Kennard. Now, let's grow. As always, before we get started, I want to let you know that this episode is presented by the No Negative Energy Life brand, a life coaching resource and media edutainment outlet that seeks to help human beings to consciously expose and diminish the impact of negative thoughts and ultimately replace them with positive ones that will increase one's ability to thrive. Check us out at non-negative.energy. That's no negative, all one phrase, .energy. You know, in medicine, conditions like hypertension are called silent killers because you can feel perfectly fine while damage is actively being done to your arteries. In psychology and human performance, we have behavioral equivalents. These are the socially acceptable, seemingly innocent daily habits that gradually erode our momentum. They dull our edge and convince you to settle for a fraction of what you are capable of achieving. Muhammad Ali said, "It is not the mountain ahead to climb that wears you out. It's the pebble in your shoe." Well, today we are removing those pebbles. We are shining a light on 3 specific quiet killers, unpacking the psychological data behind why they trap us, and mapping out the immediate kinetic shifts required to break free before our clock runs out. So let's jump into recognizing quiet killer number 1, the safety of someday. Now, this is a huge trap that we can find ourselves in because this first quiet killer is the most dangerous because it masquerades as planning. It's the habit of delaying execution under the guise of waiting for the right time, gathering more information, or getting more organized. In psychology, this is closely linked to active inertia, a phenomenon documented by Donald Sull at MIT, where organizations and individuals respond to challenges by accelerating their current activities rather than changing direction. You feel incredibly busy. You are writing lists, you are buying books, you're updating spreadsheets, and organizing your workspace. You are doing everything except the one uncomfortable thing that actually moves the needle. Now, we all have been there. You decide it's maybe finally time to write that book or launch that project. But first, you absolutely must spend 4 hours color coding your digital filing system and researching the ergonomics of standing desks. You didn't move forward. You just gave your procrastination a corporate promotion. A landmark study by psychologists Peters and Zellenberg looked at the anatomy of regret. They discovered a profound behavioral truth. In the short term, we tend to regret actions that went wrong, the things we did. But in the long term, the regrets that haunt people on their deathbeds are overwhelmingly regrets of inaction. The risks not taken, the words not said, the projects left on the drawing board. Every time you say, someday, your brain registers a temporary sense of relief without you having to take any actual vulnerability-inducing risk. It is a psychological narcotic. To kill the someday trap, you must replace vague intentions with rigid, unyielding structure. The first thing that I want to just deal with as it relates to this is the 5-minute rule. You see, action precedes motivation, not the other way around. Commit to doing the terrifying tasks just for 300 seconds. 5 minutes. Once the kinetic energy of momentum takes over, the friction then disappears. Then we have to decouple planning from doing. Stop planning on the day of execution. Build the structure the night before so that when your feet hit the floor in the morning, there is no decision fatigue. You don't have to decide then, well, what am I going to do today? No, it is already planned out. Now it's time for execution. Quiet killer number 2. This is called institutionalized isolation. Now, this second quiet killer is the gradual narrowing of our social and intellectual ecosystem. Stay with me. As we age, we naturally seek comfort. We surround ourselves with people who agree with us, the people who validate our current worldview, and we always surround ourselves with people who never ask us uncomfortable questions. We build a life that is emotionally insulated, but comfort is the enemy of progress. If everyone in your circle is comfortable with things the way that they are, any attempt you make to accelerate or change direction will be viewed as a threat to the group dynamic. There's a behavioral proverb that says, "The lonely eye sees only what it wants to see, but the sharpest iron is forged by the friction of another blade." As it relates to this, let's consider the Asch conformity experiments. Dr. Solomon Asch demonstrated that individuals will knowingly choose an obviously incorrect answer just to align with the group consensus. Now apply that to your potential. If your surrounding culture has accepted a slow, complacent pace of life, your brain will naturally downshift its own urgency to match the environment. Furthermore, Harvard sociologist Dr. Nicholas Christakis' research on social networks proves that behaviors, both positive and destructive, are highly contagious. Obesity, smoking, happiness, and even laziness spread through networks up to 3 degrees of separation. So if your closest circle lacks velocity, guess what? You will lose your velocity too. Now here's the kinetic shift. You don't need a massive crowd. You need the right room. You need environments that introduce high-value friction. So get yourself a few of these. One is a challenge room, right? This is a room where the people in this room push your limits. Don't be afraid to be around people who are going to push you to be better. Then you need accountability rooms, spaces where people can keep you honest, right? We don't want to be around people who are going to lie to us. Oh, you look great today, and you have on a blue shoe and a brown shoe. Don't let people lie to you. Get away from these people if they're not willing to be honest. Then you want to get into a room where there is diverse perspectives. It is working in collaboration with other people who may not think exactly the way that you think that will help you bring about new solutions, not only in your life, but in the life of your community. And then you need a vulnerability partner. Find someone who isn't impressed by your past achievements and give them permission to call you out on your current complacency. And then seek uphill rooms as well. This means regularly put yourself in environments where you are the least experienced, least successful, or least knowledgeable person in the room. It forces an immediate behavioral adaptation. I like to call this making yourself the dumbest person in the room. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. What I'm saying is, if you walk into a room and people think that you know it all, they're not going to share any information with you. But if you seek to learn and seek to grow and say, hey, I want to learn from you, that's where the knowledge comes from. So if you're the smartest person in the room, find another room where you're not the smartest so that you can learn and grow more. Now let me move on to quiet killer number 3. I talked about this before in previous podcasts, and it's just something that I have to bring up whenever I'm talking to people. And it is the multitasking myth. This is a huge myth that we carry around as a badge of honor. Multitasking is not the way to go. You see, we pride ourselves on being accessible 24/7, answering notifications within seconds, and keeping 20 tabs open in our brains and on our computers simultaneously. We confuse activity with productivity. In reality, fracturing your attention across multiple domains doesn't make you a high performer. Spoiler alert, it makes you a superficial thinker. It prevents you from ever entering a state of deep, transformative focus. Humor aside, we like to think we're like advanced supercomputers. But in reality, our brains during multitasking look more like a panicked squirrel trying to cross a busy 4-lane highway. There's lots of rapid movement, zero directional progress, and a very high probability of getting flattened. Dr. Gloria Mark at the University of California, Irvine, conducted a study on workplace interruptions. She found that it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to return to a deep focus task after a single brief interruption. Think about that. If you check a text message or an email just 3 times an hour, your brain never actually arrives at its peak cognitive capacity. You are operating in a state of permanent attention residue, dragging the ghost of the last distraction into your current task. You are burning massive amounts of energy while remaining completely stagnant. You see, progress requires deep, concentrated force. You cannot split an atom with a butter knife. You need a laser. So here's what I want you to do. create daily non-negotiable 90-minute windows where notifications are physically removed from your line of sight. Treat these blocks as sacred appointments with your future. And then what I want you to do is protect the first hour of your day. You see, the first hour of your day dictates your cognitive trajectory. If you check your phone the moment you wake up, you are immediately entering a reactive state, allowing the world's demands to hijack your focus before you've even set your own intention for the day. In summary, my friends, the quiet killers do not ever announce themselves. Someday feels like preparation, but it's a slow death by inaction. Comfortable isolation, hanging out in those groups that make you comfortable, it feels like peace, but it is the erosion of your potential. And then having fractured focus feels like efficiency, but it ensures you never build anything of lasting depth. Every human life comes with an unalterable truth. We have a definite shelf life. Every single one of us has an expiration date stamped on your potential. The tragedy of life isn't that it ends. The tragedy is how much of it we allow to slip away while we are waiting for the perfect conditions to finally begin living intentionally. Do not wait for a crisis to force you into action. Do not wait for a breakdown to make you value your focus, your relationships, or your time. Turn your awareness of your limits into your greatest source of immediate kinetic energy. You need to identify your quiet killer today. Is it quiet killer number 1, quiet killer number 2, or quiet killer number 3? Introduce the structure required to break its hold and start moving forward with the urgency that a fleeting, beautiful life demands. I want to thank you for listening today. I'm your host, Corey Kennard.